Join us as we discuss Pokemon Snap on the next episode of the Time Hop Podcast. Welcome back to the exciting episode of the Time Hop Podcast. I'm your host, Dave Lozada. I'm joined with Tim Ronan.
Hello.
In case you don't know, the Time Hop Podcast is a podcast that plays games of the past to let you know if they're worth playing. Today's episode is all about Pokemon Snap, perhaps one of the most revered Nintendo classics of all time. However, before we get into Pokemon Snap, Tim, how are you doing this week?
Good, thanks. I, on a whim, decided to play Crackdown the past 2 days. I don't know why. Well, actually, I saw that Crackdown 2 was free on Xbox One, I guess. And then for some reason I was like, you know what? I could play the first one.
Oh, wow. So you have 1 and 2?
I do now, yes.
Is it fun? Is it like as fun as they say that it is?
Yeah, I mean, I played it a while ago with a friend, and we did the story stuff, and it was pretty fun. And even on its own, by myself, it's pretty fun. But apparently people, because the third one was just released in February, and people, I mean, it was really anticipated, and it kept getting delayed over and over.
Right.
And it came out, and people were like, "Oh, we
didn't want this."
Well, they did want it, but just not that.
Yeah, exactly.
Guess.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it was basically just kind of maybe more or less a rehash of the first one, and didn't really do much.
Mm-hmm.
And people having the feeling that, well, this would have been fine 10 years ago, but because we had that game, we had the first Crackdown, but now we need it's 2019, and
yeah,
you
gotta
expect more.
Get with the program here. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's why I asked that question, because people when they talk about Crackdown, it's this is a really fun game, and like you said, they were really looking forward to it, and I guess they were thinking that Crackdown 3 would continue this tradition of really fun gameplay and et cetera, and I don't know, I guess it just kind of fell to the wayside, and didn't really deliver in that regard, or maybe it just didn't higher the bar, so to speak. Maybe it felt more like a Xbox 360 era game, but I wouldn't know because I didn't play any of the games. So, yeah. Anyway, let's jump into the news that stuck out to us this week. Tim, what's your news story this week?
News I went with is that it was rumored that the Master Chief Collection was going to be coming to Steam, I think because of something that 343 Industries, who are the devs now of Halo, they made some kind of an announcement teaser thing that made it seem like that it was coming to PC, and it turns out it was true. So now I don't know exactly when, but the entirety of the Master Chief Collection is coming to Steam, as well as the Microsoft Store for PC. And what I'm actually most excited about is that this now includes Halo Reach, whereas before it just had just the main Master Chief Halo games, and then also plus ODST.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But Halo Reach is actually my favorite of all those, so I'm really happy to see it coming along with it.
Yeah, Halo Reach is
I
really
mean,
good.
oh, it's fantastic. It's amazing.
Yeah, yeah, it's
I
one of
mean,
the better like later Halo games. If you like
yeah,
the ones that were developed by Bungie after, I think this was the one that was no ODST and Reach were developed after 3, right? Am I mistaken?
yes,
Yeah, but
yeah,
this was the better of the two. So by Bungie, of course. You know. So
yeah, yeah. Halo Reach was their last one,
yeah.
and it was always my favorite. But I mean, that aside, the fact that they're coming to PC in general is a pretty big deal because traditionally they, have been a Xbox exclusive.
Yeah.
And considering that there's a massive, I would assume a massive market of people who would like to play them on PC and
Mm-hmm.
like do multiplayer stuff. It seems like, yeah, why that should probably be a thing,
Yeah.
and now it will be.
It's
So
really cool,
it's
because
pretty cool.
now, yeah, it is. And now in the PC community, there's this ongoing debate, right, of like Steam versus the Epic Game Store, and which I'm sure you're very aware of. And it's cool that they specifically called out like just Steam, and like they was just that platform. They didn't do anything else. Like I don't know, like I feel like it kind of still shows that Steam is the market leader here in terms of like PC gaming, and that even Microsoft has faith in it. Whereas like Epic's Game Store it's doing well for itself, but and it has like big names like Metro Exodus and um, what else does it have? I don't know. Fortnite, obviously, but other stuff. I feel like it's a cool kind of functionality with Steam users because I don't know about you, but I don't really play on PC gaming. I'm not a big PC gaming person. I play mostly on consoles, but uh, I do it primarily through Steam, and this is great for me because also don't forget Steam sales. So you can get like all like what is it 6 games for like maybe like $10 one day or something. That'd be crazy because this is gonna retail for like $30, right? So like, oh my god, I just kind of figured that out now. That would be awesome.
Yeah. Oh, you mean the Master Chief Collection
Yeah, the Master
was
Chief
price?
Collection. Yeah.
I don't think they announced what it will be
Oh.
yet, but I don't know.
Hmm.
I mean,
I
yeah.
thought
I
I
mean,
read
I
it somewhere, but
assume.
yeah. Well, I think now
Mhm.
when on retail for the first time, how much was it? I thought it was at a discount.
Good question. Let me check that.
I thought it was like 40. I don't know, but I'm not 100% sure. But in any case, that's really cool, and I'm really looking forward to playing on PC because the series is like something that I hold. Like I really associate PC gaming, even though it's more of an Xbox kind of brand. Um, I think I've mentioned in the podcast before. Like I used to play Halo 2 at nauseum when I was a kid. Especially the multiplayer on PC. Cause like somehow I went to summer camp, and my friend somehow managed to like download the game onto CDs, and then he gave it out to all of us, like in the class, and that was pretty cool.
Right.
Yeah, he was like, this is like I was like 12 years old, and I was like, oh, okay, like I was like, all right. I didn't really question him about it. And then we were all playing together in class. It was awesome. It was just like so much fun.
I think I don't know. It's like it was $40-$50 I think on consoles. So
Oh, okay.
I mean, since they're adding Halo Reach, I don't know. Maybe it'll be like around 60 or something. But
Maybe.
regardless, that's still like a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot of content, especially if you've never played the games before. That's awesome.
Hmm.
Anyway, let's talk about my topic, my news story this week. Also very PC centric. This one was about Turtle Rock Studios. which I'm sure everyone here listening here is aware of. They are the creators of Left 4 Dead. We covered them a while ago. I think our very first episode was actually on Left 4 Dead, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
at least yeah. We definitely did. I
Mm-hmm.
don't remember if it was the first one. But...
Yeah, yeah. I think it was one of the first ones, and we actually played it all together, and we had a lot of fun. And they announced today, it was Thursday, March 14th, that they're actually partnering with WB Games again, and they're creating a new IP called Back for Blood, which is quote unquote designed from the ground up as an original premium title that marries the best of what made the co-op shooter. I'm I'm guessing they're referring to Left 4 Dead. So successful with new features and state-of-the-art technology. Um, yeah. So I I'm assuming it's gonna be. I don't know. I'm assuming I'm trying to. Yeah, yeah. They're mentioning like zombie ideas and stuff like that. So it's gonna be a zombie game again. I don't know. Oh, I guess because Valve owns the rights to Left 4 Dead, so they can't make Left 4 Dead 3. Uh, but
Oh, I get it.
yeah,
They got the four in the title, like Left 4 Dead.
yeah.
I didn't realize that until
Like
just now.
like in homage to uh Left 4 Dead. Okay. All right. I mean, what do you make of it? Because I feel like the internet's not reacting very positively to this.
Are they not? What are some
No,
reactions?
like, well, on M3G, for instance, like, people are like, "Oh, well, this might turn out exactly how Evolve did," and they're kind of worried about it. So, I don't know,
What about Evolve?
because Evolve was not good, according to popular opinion, and they're
Right.
kind of
Are they the devs of that?
yeah, they made Evolved.
Oh, okay.
Hmm. So yeah, so they're thinking that they're gonna kind of like continue and Evolve's uh, controversial premise of. I mean, it was a cool premise of like one person controlled the whatever the monster, and then three other. I think it was three other people controlled like the humans, and then they have to like take each other down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it was a cool premise, but like at the end of the day, I think what really destroyed the game was I remember this at release, people were really complaining about like its uh, DLC. Like it was like really like minutia, like changing color of a weapon or something, and they charge you like a couple bucks for it. It was really microtransaction heavy, and people were like, "Yeah, fuck this," and they abandoned the game after a couple months.
Hmm. Wasn't there also like I'm trying to remember, but was there like a balancing issue or like one side had more of an advantage, like the like monster versus the three people, or like maps are too big or something?
I
I don't really remember.
I think at first that was the case because, well, from what I remember when it came out, like it got really good reviews, like from major outlets like IGN, GameSpot, etc. It got pretty good reviews, and then I think what happened was like players started playing it much more heavily, like because when you're reviewing it and there are only outlets playing the game, then of course there's not going to be a lot of problems, right? But like when it's like made open to the public, they're gonna discover more flaws. So I think you're right. Like I think it was a balancing issue there, where yeah, like I don't remember which one it was in favor of, but I think maybe it was in favor of the humans actually, and because like they would gang up on the monster and they'd come up with like inventive ways to take it down. But I think it was resolved after a while. So
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, obviously that didn't really help.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it all but died, and within a year it died, and it just
It it didn't evolve. uh,
Yeah,
it's
but
bad.
uh, anyway, are you still looking forward to it, given your how much fun you have with the original Left 4 Dead series?
Well, I mean, I feel like, I mean, I can understand that people be like, oh, it's that developer, but I mean, for one thing, I assume this would be a different game from Evolve because
Mm-hmm.
it's not about like asymmetrical PvP stuff. It's like, it seems like it'll be mostly like Left 4 Dead was, which was a co-op PvE survival type deal, you know?
Right.
Um, I mean, I can see there being trepidation, have it being from the same developer, but give them a chance at least to do something
Yeah.
different and separate themselves from something that happened like a decent number of years ago. So
Mm-hmm.
we'll see
Yeah.
what happens. I have faith.
Yeah. Me too. I mean, I agree with you. Like, I think they tried to do something different with Evolve, and obviously it didn't work. So they're gonna. I think what they did was they thought, let's do what we know we're good at, and let's just make Left 4 Dead again. but obviously rebrand it now that we're associated with Warner Brothers. And again, nothing has been shown. We're talking about a game that like we know bare minimum, just like the title and then its premise that it's going to be a co-op shooter. That's it. So in the future, our listeners, please do not criticize us that heavily. But from what I can surmise from what I've been reading online, I think people are just being too negative about it. Well, welcome to the internet, right? But but
Right.
yeah, I feel like it'll be I don't know, something to look forward to, because Left 4 Dead kind of changed a lot when it came out, and this has potential to do the same on consoles, on every console, not just 360. So I'm looking forward to it. All right, let's move on to topic of the show. As I mentioned earlier, this week we're talking about Pokemon Snap, which originally released on March 21st, 1999. So that's 20 years ago, in case you're not good with math. So it released originally for the Nintendo 64. Um, it's developed by co-developed by HAL Laboratory, published by Nintendo, of course. And it's a spin-off title to the Pokemon series, but it also kind of like helped elevate the brand, so to speak, because up until that point in time, every fan out there was just used to like 2D sprites of Pokemon and like these really like grating like sounds of here. I mean, I think the grating sounds are still there, but in terms of images, like they were just used to seeing like pictures, and for the first time, this renders these monsters in real time 3D, which is really cool, especially if you're really a really big Pokemon fan. So as I'm sure many people who are listening to this are aware of, the objective of the game is to take pictures of Pokemon, and they use items like apples and other fruits and stuff, and like pester balls, I think they're called, to achieve
It's
like
a
better.
nice way of. Sorry. It's a nice way of like. It's like, oh, it's not hurting them. It's just a pester ball. I'm not harassing them or
Yeah,
like physically abusing them. It's a pester ball. It's fine.
it's not like a ball or something like.
Sorry. Continue.
Yeah. So yeah. So they use these items and stuff to kind of achieve better shots with the Pokemon, because sometimes they're looking the other way or they're like kind of like distracted or whatever. And the really cool part about this, which made you like a true '90s kid, was you could get the cartridge to the game, and you can go to like a Blockbuster store and put your cartridge inside this machine, and the machine will print out pictures, like either pictures or
Oh,
stickers of the
that's cool.
Pokemon that you took pictures of, and
I didn't know that.
yeah, it was really cool. And I remember my friend did that, and I was like, I hate you, because that's really cool.
That's pretty
Um,
cool for the time.
yeah, and as one might suspect, it sold pretty well. It sold about 1.5 million copies, and got rave reviews and et cetera, et cetera. And today, it's still like something that makes people look very nostalgic and something that's very beloved. But I highly doubt that Nintendo's going to do another game, another Pokemon Snap game, just because the nature of the world has changed very, very drastically since then. So let's dive right into Pokemon Snap. Tim, what do you think of the game's presentation? How does its visuals hold up?
Well, first, kind of an overview of my personal experience is that, um, contrary to how a lot of people seem to like, love this game, I've always kind of been like, I don't know. I mean, I'd rather just, I mean, like this game is its own thing and it's a spin-off, and that's fine. And people, I mean, of course, people are allowed to enjoy it. But for me personally, I guess I'd rather just go catch them like for real and not like scrapbook them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Granted, I will say I have not played this. I've just watched it or just seen screens of it, so maybe that would change my mind. But for now, that's how I stand, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yes, in terms of presentation, uh, it's I'd say that the environments that you're like, you're moving around in are kind of like, they're not too great.
Yeah.
But the Pokemon models themselves are actually pretty decent, which is probably makes sense because that's more the focus. You're not taking screenshots of the environment, but the Pokemon. And also, I think going back to what you said before about this being the first time they were rendered in 3D, I think didn't Pokemon Stadium come out before this? I
I
think it
don't.
was 1998 that it did,
Hmm.
and then this was
Maybe you
1999.
might be right, but I think what I'm reading off of, like the Nintendo database, like the wiki that they have here. Um, I think what they mean maybe is that like some specific Pokemon were rendered in 3D for the first time. Do you know what I'm saying?
Okay, so
But
they weren't all like
yeah,
they weren't all in Pokemon Stadium.
they
Maybe
weren't all in Pokemon. Maybe that was the case. I don't know. Let me look up Pokemon Stadium release date. That's a very interesting uh, caveat there. Pokemon Stadium N64.
yeah, I looked it up. I was curious. I
Yeah,
think, and I think yeah, it was
August 1st,
1998.
1998. That's
Mm-hmm.
interesting. So I wonder what they mean by that. Hmm.
I don't know. Is it like an official wiki or?
Yeah,
I
it's
mean, I
like
guess no wiki is official, but
well, it's the fan made wiki, so no. But maybe
yeah,
it's like maybe it's a different type of 3D. I don't know. But that's strange. That was maybe an error on my part. I apologize for that. But yeah.
yeah. I mean, I guess at the very least, it in Pokemon Stadium they're like somewhat like static, I guess. Whereas in Pokemon
Mhm.
Stadium they actually like move around. I mean,
Right.
I not like dynamically, I guess, but they do like. Well, I mean, they do react to things you do to them. That sounds bad, but like when you throw stuff at them, they react,
right. Right.
and
Right.
like they
Right.
kind of interact with each other. Again, it is kind of scripted, but it's kind of more like, oh, this is like what it might actually look like.
Uh
So
huh.
I could see from that standpoint how it's like, oh, this is kind of cool.
Mhm.
Um,
I
and
mean,
then,
yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
um, no, it's fine. Just one other thing I noticed about the presentation is that Maybe while like the environments and like polygonal based stuff is like is like either like okay or like pretty decent. I think the best stuff that I was seeing was like the the few hand drawn bits here and there, like the view we get of Professor Oak's lab, and um, you get like an overhead view of the island, and that's like I think it looks like it's like hand drawn or something like that, and those look a lot better. But that's
Yeah.
it's. I mean, it's going to, considering we didn't have a really good grasp on 3D model making back then.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, Nintendo. I feel like, well, Nintendo kind of did really well with 3D graphics, obviously with Mario 64 and et cetera, but and Star Fox 64 and stuff like that. So I feel like this is like the Star Fox 64 or the Mario 64 of the Pokemon universe, if that makes any sense, or maybe well, of the Pokemon universe, because like you said, Stadium was much more static, and here these Pokemon are all moving and stuff like that. So it makes it a little more like believable, a little bit more dynamic, I suppose. These Pokemon actually feel more alive, which I guess is the whole point of the premise. And I think that this game kind of conveys that well in some respects, because it is like an on-rail shooter, so you're very limited in terms of where you can go, obviously. But this is meant to be like a theme park of sorts. So you're kind of like trudging along these like different environments, like beaches and volcanoes and caves and whatever, and you're taking pictures of the Pokemon in there. But I don't know. I feel like it does. There are some moments where you know it does it accomplishes its goal of like making this somewhat believable, but at other points it's kind of like, I wish it kind of like did a little bit more to kind of immerse us more, because it gives us a snippet of what like a Pokemon world could be like, right? But then like,
well, it gives us a snap it, surely.
I set myself up for that one. Um, uh, yeah, it allows us to kind of peek into this world, so to speak, but it doesn't give us everything. And I think this is kind of like one of the first games that made fans kind of really want a open world RPG Pokemon game, because I mean, who the hell wouldn't want that? And I don't know. Obviously, that wasn't going to be possible at the time, but something along the lines of like what Zelda does, where it gives us these environments, like these very, they're separated environments and they're distinct from each other, but they also give Link and the player some freedom to roam around in. So I guess that's kind of like what I would want in a Pokemon Snap game or a Pokemon Snap sequel, but probably never get that. Um,
Never know.
that's true. That's true. But I guess that's what's the most disappointing part of its presentation, is that you don't get to see everything. Um, I, I know it's not like technically, it's not like a technical aspect of it, but it is something that you know uh, is a bit limiting, and you feel the limitations of the hardware. So it's something that's very noticeable, at least to me. Uh, Moving on to its sound design, what did you think of the game's sounds and its music, Tim?
Um, well, I looked up like the soundtrack, and I didn't realize that it's like pretty short. Actually,
Yeah.
it's like it makes up maybe 30 minutes in total, all the different tracks. Um, and there's some decent ones in there, but I don't know. Maybe I'd have to give it another listen, but nothing that super stuck out to me a lot. But
Yeah.
there were some like there's some enjoyable ones in there, but I don't know if I'd add them to like my collection, so to speak. Of like I want to listen to that one again. Um,
Yeah, it's not something that you're begging your friends to pass the aux cord for. Um, yeah, it's I don't know. It gets the job done in the sense that like you know, I feel like at moments it's not very noticeable because in general, like the sound and stuff like that, like it gets the job done in the sense that these Pokemon like they feel more alive when they're screaming at you or whatever, and little sound effects that you do when you're throwing the balls and the apples and whatever. Not the balls. What am I thinking about? When you're throwing like the pester balls, right? I think they're called.
yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
I don't
pester
know.
balls or something. Um, yeah, when you're like throwing these stuff out, the sound effects are appropriate. That gets the job done fine. There's no grand orchestral scores to, look forward to. There's nothing on the same caliber as like the mainline Pokemon games. This is very kind of basic, and I don't know. It feels like a spin-off. I mean, Pokemon Snap is a spin-off, but I feel like some of the music just feels kind of like okay, it's there, and that's all.
And I don't know. Maybe it's meant to be like because it's supposed to be kind of like a chill experience, maybe. So maybe
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe it serves its purpose for just kind of being there, like
yeah,
just sort of adding to the atmosphere of it. But
like Starbucks music or something, where it's just kind of like it's there. Nobody really cares, but it's there, and you know, I don't know. Like it feels like background music. It is. It's like background music to the truest sense of the word of the expression. Does that make any sense? Like it's really just there. The background. It's not memorable. It's just there, and I don't know. I feel like it's a disappointing when you try to measure this up to mainline Pokemon games or even Pokemon Stadium. There's just not a lot there.
yeah, I guess so. Like, kind of again, it's like like for example, Pokemon Stadium is like it's like a fierce battle between two super powerful creatures, and then this one is like, yeah, you're just taking some pictures, no big deal, you
Yeah.
know. So it's like difference of mood and atmosphere, and
Mm-hmm.
doesn't
Yeah,
necessarily
I
have to
get
be
it.
like super rad guitar riffs
Yeah,
when you're on a safari.
yeah. That's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, again, it gets the job done, and uh, yeah, it makes everything smooth, and it doesn't. There's nothing bad about it. So I guess that's a good thing, right? And
Maybe, yeah.
yeah,
I mean, at least in terms of the sound effects, you're probably happy that they actually say the Pokemon say their names
do they make them say
most of
their
the
names
time.
in this game? I don't remember.
Well, actually, you know what? At Meowth does definitely at least Meowth,
I thought some
but
of
now I'm
them
trying to
did and
remember
some
some
of them
others.
didn't. Like Pikachu says
You
Pikachu.
know what? Yeah. I could have sworn that Pikachu did that, but then there are others that still don't. I think
Yeah,
it's
I think
strange.
Gyarados still does like this roar, and like Charizard too. They just like roar. Nothing really special there. Um,
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the way it is in the anime. I think some of them do and some of them don't.
really?
I think
I
maybe at
really.
least some of them. I thought.
What sounds do Gyarados and Charizard make? I thought they. I thought Charizard. I thought for sure Charizard said like Char or something.
Uh, I'm actually pretty sure he doesn't. Charmander
Really?
says Char. Charmeleon, I think, also says Char. But I think then Charizard's just like, you know what? I'm just gonna roar now. I'm done saying my name. At least I think
Really?
so.
That's
I think
very
so.
interesting. I never noticed that. Hmm. That's very interesting.
Or like, it's just because I think it's usually with the legendaries that they don't say their name, and I guess just imagining them saying their name sounds funny to me. Like if Rayquaza just said Rayquaza instead of like that, like it's supposed to be this powerful sky dragon thing, so it sounds funny for it to just say its name to me.
But doesn't Groudon and Kyogre, don't they say their names?
No, pretty sure they
Really?
don't.
Are you serious? What the hell
I'm
am I
pretty
supposed
sure.
to? What about
I
Jirachi or
think
like
so.
the smaller ones?
Well, Jirachi, I know too. Apparently, I know more than I remember that I do. But Jirachi communicates telepathically in the
Oh,
anime, so
okay.
it actually, I think, so it actually like speaks.
Those are freaky
Quote
ones,
unquote.
aren't they? They're kind of freaky. You're like
What's that?
those Pokemon are kind of freaky. Like they're
Which
like
ones?
the ones that speak to you like telepathically,
Oh, yeah.
like Lucario and like Jirachi, and it's like, ugh, I don't know. I'd be freaked out if like a bird started talking to me like that. Anyway, did they ever explain completely off tangent, but did they ever explain in the anime why Meowth talks like a human?
You know what they did, and I think. Oh, hang on. What was it? There's like a fragment of memory in my brain. There was definitely a lore episode for that.
Whoa.
He
Is that
he originally he didn't speak human originally, but he I think there was like a female Meowth that he liked or
what?
something, and he learned English, human speech
What the
for
fuck?
her. I don't. You know what? Don't quote me completely because I can't totally remember it. But I'm pretty sure they do legit explain why he can speak
Are you serious?
something. Yeah. Look, I guarantee if you Google it, you'll get your answer
Oh
much better than what I'm telling
man.
you right now.
Dude, that's so crazy. That would be crazy if he did it for like a girl. That would like but why would that impress her? Like that why
Yeah, that's what I'm not. I can't quite connect those points, so I might be missing something, but
did she speak
I'm positive
English?
it definitely involves the female Meowth that he was interested in.
What the fuck? All right. Well, Meowth, I have a lot of research to do on you. Um, so do you think the Meowth connecting all this together? Do you think the Meowth in Pokemon Snap is the Meowth in the anime? Team Rocket Meowth?
Well, there are multiple Meowths,
Right.
so
Do you think at least one of
it's
them?
probably um. I mean, who
It's a
knows? I mean,
possibility.
it could be, but
Isn't the
I,
Meowth
I
in
would
this
I
game?
would say no.
Isn't the Meowth in this game like kind of a dick? Like sometimes the Meowths are like. I remember like specific
There
segments where like Pidgeys would be like
there was one
flocking
point.
together. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, on the first level, he's like by a Pidgey nest,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like a cat, and they're birds. So maybe the intent was that he was like gonna steal their eggs or something. So I don't
Oh,
know.
okay. Well, he's still kind of a dick. I mean, I know it's survival, but okay. All right. Well, you do you, Meowth. You keep
Yeah,
trucking.
yeah.
You keep trucking, man. Anyway, what do you think of the game's gameplay? The actual throwing the balls and uh, bothering the Pokemon and abusing them, and then taking
Hmm.
pictures. What do you think of that?
Finally, the game we wanted. We can abuse our Pokemon. Just gonna abandon that. Um, I mean, I think I kind of already touched on this, but um, I I don't know if this is for me. I mean, I guess it was for a lot of other people,
Yeah.
and of course they're allowed to enjoy that, even if I don't. Um, but I don't know if I personally enjoy the focus of the gameplay, which is just capturing them, quote unquote, in a sense, but not
Ha
actually
ha
like
ha. Yeah, I
being able
got
to
you.
do that like in the main games. Um, but I can appreciate that people like it, and I can also appreciate stuff like there's almost a sort of puzzle aspect where you have to hit a certain Pokemon with a certain item at a certain time, or like I think at some point you have to like throw an apple into like a pool of water, and then a Gyarados pops out, and then you can take a picture of it.
Yeah.
And of course, there's a matter of timing because you have to like you can get different like ratings for your pictures based on like if they're in like if they're in the center of the frame and if they're like actually facing you, and there's a bit of skill
Hmm.
involved in that. So I can appreciate that stuff, but I just don't know if it's necessarily for me.
Yeah. I mean, there are definitely like things to learn about the game, so I think that's kind of one of its neatest features. I know you mentioned the Gyarados. The one that comes to mind for me is I think you have to trick a Charmeleon into falling into a pool of lava, and then if it falls into the pool of lava,
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
it turns into a Charizard, right?
Something like that, I think. Yeah.
And I think that they're like those instances like that make it kind of stand out in the sense that, again, this goes back to my point earlier. While the game doesn't really feel like a full fledged Pokemon world, it does give us the impression that this is a very small portion of it, and like it's through those examples that you go, okay, like this is I can believe this. This I can, you know, kind of imagine. I could kind of get what it gives me and like extrapolate it into like the entire world and make sense of all these regions and stuff like that. So I think there's like a bit of imagination that you have to put into it. Even when it comes to the gameplay, like you have to imagine, how so and so Pokemon would evolve. How what would entice the Pokemon to kind of like come out of the. Um, I think there are like a lot of tall. Are there are segments with a lot of tall grass, right? So you have to like entice the Pokemon to come out of the tall grass, or there's a nice big fat Pikachu that you want to take a picture of, but it's a little far away, so you got to throw an apple at it or something. So instances like that where you have to kind of use your noggin and use your 9-year old noggin and just kind of figure it out for yourselves, and then you could take some really sweet shots and then go to Blockbuster and print it out and show it off to your friends, which is rad. That
Yeah.
is so cool.
I mean, you can find Mew at some point, right?
Yeah, you can. I
And
remember
like
that.
capture him. I have no idea what the prerequisites are, but you get a picture of that and show it off.
Yeah.
I mean that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like if you figured it out and they haven't yet, I don't know if there's anything to figure out in order to do that, but either way, it's still pretty cool.
I think the aspect, like the picture aspect of it, just makes it like the fact that you can get the pictures and then print them out just makes the game so much more. I don't know, like so much more sociable, if that makes any sense. In the sense that, you know, even though it's not a multiplayer game, it almost feels like one where you're like you take the pictures and then you bring that like you again going back to my example of my friend who had the pictures and I think he was like on his fridge at one point, and like it's just like it's really cool like to see people kind of do this. And I know nowadays we kind of take this stuff for granted, right, with like Pokemon Go and just screenshotting it and putting it on Instagram or whatever, or putting it on Facebook or whatever you like to do. We kind of take this like very photo centric photo I don't know how to obsessed culture for granted, and I feel like Pokemon Snap tapped into this just a little bit, and that's why I feel like it's not even sustainable today. Like the gameplay can't really wouldn't translate well to today because it's just I feel like it's antiquated. I feel like nowadays we have games with like photo modes and stuff like that. So why would I feel like if they were going to do something like Pokemon Snap, they might as well just do an open world Pokemon game, right? And then have people just take photos of the open world that they're in with their Pokemon. That would make most sense to me.
So just like add a camera, basically.
Yeah, I mean they had that in X and Y. They had that in. I think they have that in um, Sun and Moon. So
Oh, but like they had a camera in those games?
yeah, they have a camera.
Oh,
I
I didn't
think
know
so.
that.
Yeah.
Like you can like take pictures and stuff with it.
Well, I know in X and Y you definitely can. Like there are some moments where like you're walking in the overworld, and or the actual world or whatever, and like there are like photography signs that you could take pictures of like you and the environment. Because X and Y was the one where it gave you like was like the French one, so it was much more uh like customizable centric. You could build your own avatar, so you share that off kind of with other Pokemon players around the world.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I think it was in Sun and Moon. I didn't play Sun and Moon, but I think I saw that some instances where that was used, or rather maybe one instance where you can use like a first person camera, right, to like check out hidden things in
Oh,
the
I
environment.
don't know.
Oh, you didn't play it either.
Maybe you could. I don't know. No, I didn't play it.
Yeah, again, I'm not 100% sure, but I think there are instances where you have to like search the environment for like hidden items and stuff like that, like TMs and other like rare candies or whatever, and you look through cracks in the cave or something, you'd find it, or like maybe you spot a Pokemon, a ways off, and then you'd be able to catch it through a first person view. So it's kind of similar to Pokemon Snap in that sense. But again, it's like that's what my whole point is like they can integrate, get elements from Pokemon Snap and just integrate it into an open these open world Pokemon games. Maybe Sword and Shield might do it. I'm assuming that it will, because if X and Y did it and Sun and Moon did it to some degree, I'm assuming that that's going to be the extent of it, but can't be 100% sure until the games are out. But yeah, from that point, what do you think the game's appeal is? Because I think I kind of said what I think. I just don't think it's very relevant anymore. But what do you think about Pokemon Snap in 2019?
I mean, like I said, I haven't played this myself, and I am definitely open to trying it, because maybe, as much as I might say that maybe it doesn't appeal to me, maybe, I don't know, maybe that would change. But I mean, it feels like there's a decent base of people who want Nintendo to explore this again. So, I mean, it seems like it still has some relevancy to people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I would try it myself, and I don't know, it seems like something that people do want to see explored more of, especially
Yeah.
considering, we are, well, I mean, Nintendo is capable of more these days than it was back then to, I don't know, to add to this, like, sort of spin off universe
Mm-hmm.
of Pokemon Snap. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I agree with you. Like, I mean, I don't totally agree with you, but I see what you're saying. Like, it's something that Nintendo could tap into, at least for nostalgia's sake, and I'm sure they'll sell like millions of copies, 1.5 million for sure. I'm sure like if Nintendo ever wanted to kind of, I don't know, pay respects to like the whole craze that came with rendering these Pokemon for the first time in 3D. like a throwback to Safari zones and stuff like that, which I loved, by the way, in like Pokemon um, Ruby and Sapphire. I love Safari zones, and I think it was in Diamond and Pearl too, right?
Uh, yeah, it was like the marshlands or something.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't called the Safari Zone, but it was kind of the same thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think they had it since Gold and Silver. Correct me. I'm not 100% sure though,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
they had it there for a while, and and I think Black and White. They definitely had it in Black and White because you could transfer like the GBA games, right, into Black and White.
Mm, I don't remember with that one.
Yeah, but in any case, yeah, like the Safari zones, they can easily make a game like on the Safari zones alone, which would be awesome, by the way.
Yeah. You know what? That's actually so like are you saying like they could have like stages or you mean like have the whole game like based kind of in like a Safari Zone type
Yeah,
thing?
like an open world Safari zone, right? Or like
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to explain it. Like every zone is kind of like Legend of Zelda, right? Where it's like you have like you open up these different landscapes, and like these landscapes in this Pokemon game are like different zones of the safari, like different, this is the rock terrain, this is like the grassy terrain, this is the lava terrain, and whatever. And that like you can find all the fire types in one, you can find all the ground types in the other, and grass types in the other, and then like your goal would be to catch them all, right? So like you would have to like
Yeah, or what I thought could actually be interesting is if maybe they have like I don't know, like different zones dedicated to the different like geographical locations of each game, or like maybe
oh
they have different like stages that are set in those places.
dude, that would be
You know?
awesome, like the different regions.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I'm looking for.
Oh, that would
So
be
like,
cool.
yeah, I think it could be, and you have like the different Pokemon respective to those places, and maybe you could visit places from the games, or even maybe the anime, possibly. I don't know, maybe not, but I think that could be cool.
That would totally be cool. I would love that. And it would be like a natural evolution of the this like Pokemon Snap thing where it's like, you'd see like some like Pokemon, like you see like Ho-Oh like just like flying in the distance like in the anime, right?
Yeah. That'd be cool.
And then like you like snap it just for reference, and you'd be like, "What is this Pokemon?" And then like you get back to it later on or something. Oh, damn, that would be so cool, dude. God damn it.
Yeah, I think it could be, but and yeah, kind of going off the Ho thing, you could just using the newer like Switch technology and stuff. It feels like you could do a lot more and like hide a lot more things. So you could have like maybe some Pokemon that are like really well hidden off in the distance,
Oh,
or maybe
yeah.
even up closer, but you have to like look the right way, or maybe you'd have more tools available to you other than just like throwing stuff.
Right.
That could be like I'm actually getting kind of excited thinking about that. That could be cool. Like from a game
Damn.
design perspective, that sounds cool.
Tim, we gotta do it. We gotta go to Nintendo. We gotta pitch this idea to them.
Hey guys, we got this. Would you? Can you? Are you gonna pay us those royalties now?
All right. Anyway, that about wraps up our opinion of Pokemon Snap. Join us next week as we discuss EverQuest, perhaps one of the most influential MMORPGs of all time. Did you ever play EverQuest, Tim?
You know what? I don't think I have actually.
Yeah, me neither. I've heard about it for sure. I've like have a lot of friends who are. I've never played WoW either, but like I've had a lot of friends who do, and like they would frequently talk about, oh, like this so and so came from EverQuest and whatever and whatever. But anyway, EverQuest released the same year as Pokemon Snap did. It released the same month as Pokemon Snap did. I released on March 16th, 1999. So 5 days before. Wow, that's crazy. and it's still going on today. Actually, it still exists. It still has a fan base. It still has a lot of people who play that game. So join us next week as we discuss EverQuest. All right, so let's jump into what we're playing next week. Tim, what are you playing next week?
Let's see. I might play a bit more of Crackdown 1. Maybe some more GTA 5 as well. And actually, speaking of Pokemon, I think I might play some Pokemon Emerald, actually.
Oh, hell yeah.
Because I still want to get myself a shiny Rayquaza if I can.
Oh, the
So I
black
might
one?
try and do that.
That's the black one with
but
right?
Like the black and
The black and the
yellow.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's cool.
Yeah.
But I'm not. These days people have it easy. They put on their like shiny pendant key item, whatever, like doubles their chances. No, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, that bullshit.
I'm doing the hardcore OG, like, what is it? Like 1 in 8,192, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Just keep turning on and off that GBA, huh? Just keep switching.
Soft resetting. Yeah.
Yeah, or doing that too, yeah. Just flipping the switch. As far as what I'll be playing this upcoming week, I haven't really thought about it. I've been trying to play like some Vita games because I don't know, I've been missing my Vita, and I kind of just like I work a 9 to 5 job, and then when I come home I work some more. I write articles and like video game articles, and I've been kind of like my eyes have been suffering from looking at the computer screens for too long. So I've been kind of like trying to move myself away from a desk and away from a big monitor, and have like a smaller experience on a smaller screen. So that's why I've been kind of like looking for Vita. And a series that I've never played that I really want to play is Danganronpa. Have you heard of Danganronpa?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, it's a very like otaku anime centric kind of game, but it's actually, I wrote a piece about it the other day, which should be out next week. And it's actually a pretty cool like series where like it's high school students, of course. You know how Japan is. But like it's also, it's like the students are in like a murder game kind of thing, where like they murder each other, and then the goal of the whole game is to like basically find out who murdered who, and then in the end there are only going to be a couple left, and you got to figure out like it's like pointing fingers until you're the only person left. So it seems pretty cool. I kind of really want to see what it's all about, and there are 3 of them, so yeah, should be cool. Should kill a lot of time too. They're long games. They're like 20 something hours each. So
are they like RPG type? Did you say they're like RPG type things, or?
Yeah, they're more like visual novel type. So it's kind of like
Okay.
yeah. So it's kind of like it's also like Ace Attorney in a sense. Do you know Ace Attorney's gameplay?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's basically kind of like that, where you have like some visual novel aspects where you can go around and like talk to your classmates and stuff like that, but like eventually you come to a point where someone dies, and then like there's a class trial, they call it, and you basically have to like analyze what everybody says and all of their alibis, and then point out the inconsistencies, and then as you like distill down the inconsistencies and figure out who's innocent, you eventually narrow it down to the 2 or 3 people who are possibly guilty. And if you like accuse the wrong person of being guilty, then you yourself is the one that dies, and the person gets away with it. So it's cool, yeah. And the executions are really brutal for a game starring kids. So yeah, I've seen
Nice.
some. Yeah, nice. Yeah, he took the words right out of my mouth. Uh, anyway,
Doesn't that game have like? All I seem to remember about the game is like a two-faced bear
yeah, Monokuma.
thing.
Yeah,
Is that accurate?
yeah. It's Monokuma. Yeah, he's like a robot. I think he's like half white and half black.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and he has like Monokuma monocubs. I think they're called. Like, say he has babies, and there's like a bunny too, like a pink bunny. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know what that's about, but just putting it out there. Anyway, that about wraps it up for this episode of the Time Hop Podcast. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Again, my name is David Lozada. You can reach me on Twitter at XenoCreator125, and Tim Ronan's here. You can find him on King Gamer writing articles as usual. Thanks again for joining us for this episode. Join us next week as we discuss EverQuest. Thank you, everyone. Have a good week. Bye.
Goodbye.